Good afternoon, folks. Welcome. Welcome, judges and our audience who are filing in out the back. Folks, we're going to do a run-through of the documentary category before we go live for live streaming. So what I'm going to do is ask all of our judges, that includes you, Bill. Yes, thank you very much. I'm going to get you all to pay attention to the screen as this digital run-through goes along, and then I'll put a panel together. Okay, so all of our judges can see the screen. Okay, that was our digital run-through. As I mentioned earlier, we're judging the documentary category. It's already this afternoon. It's no longer this morning, folks. So we need to move and we need to get through quite a bit. The documentary category is sponsored by Leica, and we can't put on our awards without our sponsors. So thank you, Leica, for sponsoring this category. I'm just going to go through the preamble for the documentary category. This category recognises the genre of documentary photography, ranging from the ordinary to the extraordinary narrative that reflects a time and place. Entries may be commissioned or self-commissioned and can include news events, press, documentary, street and travel photography that depicts some aspect of the human condition. It can include birth, sport and wedding photography. Judges will be looking for communication of narrative, emotion and context that reflects a time and a place. Images must have been found, not created. The photographs must be unposed and without the intervention of the photographer, meaning the scene needs to have been observed, not fabricated or created in any way by the photographer. Each image will have a title as well for the benefit of our judges, and I will read the title out after the print turns around on your way to viewing the print. Okay, our judges in the room at the moment are Bill Buckman, Sarah Beaufoy, Tony Carter, Steve Scalone, Nathan Madigan, Jackie Rankin, Selena Rollerson and Catherine Katanak. Have I got everybody in my judging team? Fantastic. Okay, first up to the panel, I'd like to call Bill Buckman, Sarah Beaufoy, Tony Carter, Selena Rollerson and Catherine Katanak. And I'll get each of you to log on if you could for me. And welcome again to the audience. Good to have you here. Hope we're going to have some fun. A few laughs. A few tears.
I need some help here. I don't know how to... Oh, here we go. Okay.
Someone just give Bill a little hand there logging on from our tech team. Right. Just about got everybody.
Hang on. Might have to sign off.
Oh.
Is it letting you do it? Just go sign off. Okay, now click on the little drop down menu.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll find your name.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, judges, all ready? Up the front? Everyone happy? All good? Welcome. Again, documentary category. Here we go. There will be a short caption. Team out the back ready? Am I good to go? Happy? I'm joined by Simone and Anna again, my backup team. And we're ready for our first print. Can we have our first print, please? Okay, and the caption is, Life Around an Italian Pizzeria. Thank you, judges. Okay, this print has scored 67 and very consistent judging across the board there. I'm going to go to you, Catherine. Could you make a comment on the print for me?
I like the graphic nature of it, but I'm just finding that change in perspective across the series stops them being cohesive, and it's quite distracting.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, judges. And can we have our next print, please? And the caption is bride being dressed. Sorry, bride getting dressed. Bride getting dressed. Okay, this print has scored 69. Are we happy to accept the score of 69? No. Selena, you're going to challenge. You've got your hand in the air. Selena, you are on 78. Let's hear from you, Selena.
Yeah, I've given this a 78 because I felt that the story it's quite well seen. And for a wedding image, we do focus very much on the individual, some of those close-up portraits and the posed portraits from weddings. And yet this has got quite a number of characters in it. The fact that we've got engagement with the bride, or the bride is engaging with the photographer, and being a documentary category, hasn't been asked to do that. Or wouldn't have been asked to do that. Otherwise, it would have been in a different category. So I guess, I just felt that, this has a real range of engagement with different characters who are the bride particularly, who is the main important person in this image, is the one that's actually looking and engaging with us. Nobody else is actually doing that because they're all busy doing their little thing. They're looking at their cameras, their phones, they're playing with the dress. They've all got their own little job that they're doing, and all she's doing is she's just loving in that moment.
I'm going to pull you up. Yep. Thank you, Selena. Okay, the rest of our judges are very tightly clustered here. So who's going to put their hands up first? Okay, Bill. Yep.
I see this as not quite approaching award standard. It's more of a snapshot to me. I think it's a minor image in a wedding album, a useful and interesting addition to a wedding album, but it's a support player, it's a minor player. I think the thing that bothers me most is the kind of, yes, I like the chaos that's in it in terms of everyone's doing their thing. The bride is one central character, but her bridesmaid immediately to the left of her is equally important in terms of weight in the photograph, and all I'm seeing is her shoulder, the back of her head, and the back of her, and that's quite distracting to me. I think it really interrupts the narrative.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Sarah, do you have anything further to add? No, you're happy? Catherine and Tony? If not, I'm going to go back to Selena.
I'd just say really quickly, I would have liked to see the photographer tilt the camera down a bit. There's a lot of roof and the feet are cut off.
Okay, thank you. Now, Selena, back to you.
Yeah, look, I see all of that and I understand all of that, and I just guess I was trying to reward the photographer for just the effort that they've put in to sort of see those other elements. But yeah, look, I'm happy to sit there and yeah.
Okay, thank you, judges. If you could all rescore for me.
Do I put the same one?
Does Selena rescore?
Yes.
Same one.
Okay. Our print has remained at 69. Thank you, judges. And we will have our next print, please. And the caption is First Human Touch. Thank you, judges. Some scores, please. Okay, this print has scored 78 and is a bronze award, and we have a challenge from Bill Buckman. Bill is on 87. Let's hear from you, Bill.
Skepticism is my first reaction when I see multi-panel offerings, because usually there's an image in there which is weak. One or two images are weak, which bring it down. I don't actually see any weak images in this one. It's a really lovely story. If you follow it from opening to closing, you see what comes through is the timidity of the foal. The first image, it's just tucked in behind its mother. It's not until we get to the third, I can't see it all from here actually, it's being observed by a human in the second one, it's being touched by a human in the third one, and then it still is shy and backgrounded by the photographer. This is really clever use of perspective and control of narrative, I think. Finally, we see it in a patch of sunlight on its own, but we know that it's crossed a line in its development as a young horse. I think, and this is beautifully printed as well.
Thank you, Bill. I'm going to go to Tony on 73 this time. Yeah, you're at the lower end, Tony.
Yeah, I'm sitting on 73, and I think I might come up into low silver actually. There is a good story here, and the caption definitely helped a lot with the images. But yeah, your eye there nicely. Everything is telling the story. Probably the main reason I didn't go higher is probably the choice of paper, and with that creamy base, I don't really feel like it's adding to it. But yeah, I'm definitely listening, and I will come up into and reward the photographer with an early silver.
Thank you, Tony. Bill, you have some support in the 80s. Selena's on 82. Selena.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the narrative that Bill has shared. What confused me a little bit about it is whether it was a foal, whether it was a stray horse that's been picked up and looked after, because it doesn't look like that horse has just given birth. Is all like there's no indication of that to me enough to go higher. So I'm quite happy to sit where I'm sitting I'm on 82, so I'm a low silver because of the narrative that has been depicted, but without actually having more to go higher.
Okay. And Bill?
Yes, I quite like the paper stock, because to me this speaks of an early morning. There looks to be a bit of mist or sparkle in the air, a bit of, flare going on here. I quite like the warmth of the image. I don't think it matters that it is, whether it's a newborn foal, which it clearly isn't, or just a young horse. I mean, a horse is a wild animal until it's habituated to a human being. So it's all about that first contact, that third picture. Second in the middle on the left column is a really beautiful image. It's kind of the keystone image, and everything flows to and from that. I think this is just a really well-controlled narrative, and I do think it's worth a high silver.
Thank you, Bill. Everyone may rescore. You can rescore. You have to rescore.
Happy with where I am.
Okay, we have a silver award at 83. Thank you, judges. Can we have our next print, please? And the caption is "Wedding Dinner, Too Old for the Noise." For this noise. Okay, this print has scored 69. Are we happy with that, judges? Yes, we are. Okay, we'll accept that. Selena, you're on 68. Would you like to make a comment for the photographer?
Just the obscurity of some of the faces, particularly the man that is engaging with the lady. We don't quite see the lady, so would have loved to have seen a little bit more of some of those faces.
Thank you, Selena. Yep. Could we have our next print, please? Jackie, could you just step in for Sarah? Thank you. Sorry, the title. I've got to give that to you. Yep, it's just come up. Exhausted nun takes a break in the street. Ethiopia. Thank you, Tony. And this printer scored 79. And we have a challenge from Tony Carter, who's on 87. Tony, you have someone else with you in the 80s range. Take it away.
Yeah, obviously it's the print quality is superb here. Placement of the person, the emotion, the cross, the structure, everything's just beautifully in its place, but still it's a documentary image. So I find it sort of, it just sits comfortably everywhere in the image. It's just printed to a superb level, and I sort of find it hard to fault. Even the rocks in the foreground on the left, it's just been cropped to perfection or taken like that. And I'm not asking for a gold, but I sort of think it's easily a silver with distinction.
Thank you, Tony. Bill, you're in the bronze range at 72.
Yes, and I don't actually think that's harsh. And in fact, I agree with just about everything Tony said. It's a lovely capture. It's beautifully printed, everything there. But I don't see what else the photographer has actually brought to this story. She hasn't clarified any kind of a narrative. It's basically a street portrait, beautifully done, professionally captured, and I think that's where it should remain.
So Catherine at 84.
I totally agree. This has been beautifully structured. I think the photographer has brought a lot in the way they've framed this, what they've seen. We see a lot of weathered face, street portraiture. This photographer has taken it a step further. For me, it's all about the textures, the folds of the body folded up, the folds of the texture, the hands. It's even making folds in the skin. It's gorgeous. And then that line on the right that comes in, that sort of surge up towards your subject, and the rock, the balance of the rock on the left. I think I'm coming up with you, Tony. It's definitely, the photographer for me has brought a lot to this. I think it's great.
Thank you, Catherine. And Tony, in closing?
Yeah, Catherine just said it all, really. It's just the clothing and just that downtrodden feeling, and just the expression on the face and the hands wrapped around, just the way that the clothing is wrapped around that person, and your eye just follows around. It just dreamily goes around this print. And, for a documentary image, I think it's outstanding that you can come across something like that, recognise it straight away and capture it. I think it's beautifully done.
Thank you, Tony. The current score is 79. Everybody, all our judges, please rescore. And we have an 82 silver award. Thank you for stepping in there, Jackie. And can we have our next print, please? the title, Astro Meets His Sister. Just let me get the title out before we talk, if that's okay. Your score for me, Selena. Thank you. Okay, this print is a Bronze Award 75. Are we happy to accept our 75? Yes. Yes, we are. Yep. Okay, I'm going to go to you, Bill. You're spot on the average of 75. Could you make a comment for the photographer?
It's impossible not to like the sentiment and the emotion in this picture. It's just not a terribly accomplished composition. The lighting's very challenging and hasn't been handled all that well in terms of printing. There's a genuine connection, there's a moment there in the middle, but kind of everything around it is not contributing that much.
Thank you, Bill. And can we have our next print, please? The caption is 3 more team. Three more team. Just a heads up to everyone in the audience, if you do have your phone with you, could you please put it on silent? We're getting a lot of noise pings from phones and phone calls, so please put your phone onto silent and your tablet. That'd be great, thank you. Okay, this print has scored 70 and is a Bronze Award. Happy to accept that, I think. Yes, thank you, audience. Selena, I'm going to go to you for a comment for the photographer. You're on 72.
Yeah, congratulations to the photographer for the bronze. A couple of things. The main thing for me is the printing, I think, and just the handling of some of the highlights. It just seems a little over-sharpened in some places, particularly that the girl pulling on the rowing machine.
Thank you, Selena. And could we have our next print, please? Could we have our next print, please, print handlers? Thank you, team. Our caption, Final Family Farewell. Okay, this print has scored 76, a Bronze Award, and we have challenges. We have hands in the air. I think Catherine, your hand went up 3 milliseconds ahead of Tony's, so you are on 84, Catherine.
Well done to this photographer. This is obviously a very tender and delicate situation to be in. They've captured it just beautifully. They've framed it beautifully with the curve of the woman in the foreground, leaning on the man who is obviously dying. There's a beautiful circularity to it and feeling of connection with the family, that little gesture of the man on the right just reaching out to touch his neck. And I love the way, I'm going to call him Grandad, has his eye on the next, the third generation down, the future. It's beautiful. It's definitely a silver.
Thank you, Catherine. Selena, I'm going to come back to you on this one at 67. Yep.
I guess I see what you're saying. For me, the man that is in the middle doesn't look sick. And that's where I've got a tussle between, okay, so it's only the caption that has told me that. It's not the image that has necessarily told me that. He could be going away, and I guess a farewell can not just mean death, but it can also, or sickness, it can actually mean trip. That the foot of the lady in the front really, it drew me away. It's drawing me out of the image, and the fact that we can't see her face. I would have loved to have seen the expression on her face, because there's so much emotion in that, and I can't quite see that. And I think that that's why I've stuck it in high professional practice as opposed into an award.
Thank you, Selena. Tony?
Yeah, I'm on 83. I read it as the person whose past is not there anymore, so I was thinking the gentleman's wife, and everybody is looking after him after the passing. And, you know, it's all about the gestures and the connections. When I first saw this on the digital walkthrough, I thought, oh, that lady in the front is bothering the hell out of me. But if you look at her body language and her relationship with the older gentleman, and how it's all about whānau and family here, and how they're all caring for each other. So, and if you look at all those elements in an image, you know, all of those people are coming together, and all you're doing is giving a great emotional response. And I just love the way all the bodies just sort of interlock in together, and even the curve of the lady leading up into the gentleman. You're pulled right up into there, and I think this is, I'm on 83, and it's probably a quiet 87.
Thank you, Tony. And Catherine?
Thank you, Tony. Great commentary. I fully believe the man in the centre is sick. He looks gaunt. He's drawn. There's tension in the neck, and I also feel that there's huge emotion on the face of the woman at the front there. I love what you said about the interlocking bodies. There's obviously different interpretations here, but I see the answers to all the questions that you guys raised on the negative. So yeah, it's great.
Thank you, Catherine. Everybody can rescore. Okay, we have a silver award at 80. Well done. Okay, can we have our next print, please? And again, judges, crank it up. Let's go. We need to get a move on. And our caption, delicate hatching time for Royal Albatross and Doc. Mm-hmm. Let's get our scores in, judges. Thank you. Okay, this print has scored 75, and we have a challenge from Bill Buckman, who's on 87.
Isn't it interesting how we all see things differently? Again, a sequence. I'm really happy to see sequences in documentary, because it gets to the heart of what documentary is, which is the unfolding of a story. Again, 4 images, not a single wasted one, all well composed. The narrative is very clear. The printing is excellent, and I think ending in that beautiful, almost Madonna and child image on the right of the adult albatross with the baby, the fledgling that's been successfully hatched with the help of this wildlife officer and placed next to her, I think is a fantastic beginning, middle, and ending. This is a really great story. I think it's very strong.
Thank you, Bill. I'm going to go to you now, Sarah. You're on 68.
Yeah, I agree with you, Bill. I really enjoy this too, and that final image really got it for me as well. And I'm on 68 and did see this originally as professional standard. I'm still quite comfortable there. I do feel that this is a something that we do as a professional job, and think that to bring it into the bronze level just needs something else for me.
Thank you, Sarah. Selena, you're on 85 and with some support for Bill.
Oh, I'm totally with Bill. This is not just a depiction of a bird and its hatchling. This is a depiction of human and us caring for our environment and us caring for our animals. And that second image is just as powerful for me as the last one, because he's nurturing and caring for this beautiful baby bird and handing it over in almost like a ceremonious gifting to that mother. It is quite... It is beautifully printed, it's beautifully captured. Those images, it tells the story perfectly, and yet it finishes on the most beautiful note. And I think and even the presentation, that the three portraits and that landscape in the middle, that's that gifting from one to the other. It ties it all together from one end to the next. I really love this. This is a lovely competition.
Thank you, Selena. You almost said awesome, and I stopped you. And in closing, Bill?
Thank you, Selena, for your enthusiastic support of this. You've filled in a lot of the gaps that I was suggesting here. I think this is far more than... 68 is actually approaching award level. I think at the very least this needs to be a high bronze, but I'm absolutely convinced that it's a silver of some sort for the craft and empathy that's been brought to it. I think that's what the photographer's brought to it, is human empathy to tell a story of a connection between the human world and the animal world, which is essentially a mother-child relationship, just like in our world.
Thank you, Bill. If we could all rescore, the current score is 75. And we have an 80 silver award. Thank you, judges. Could we have our next print, please? And the caption? Love my awa, and bubbles in brackets. Okay, this print has scored 61. I'm going to go to you, Tony, for a comment on this.
Yes, I'd say the exposure is what's really letting this down. It's underexposed, but great expressions and a good court moment. But yeah, keep that exposure.
Thank you. And Bill, briefly, yep.
For the benefit of the photographer, the joy in this image and the interest in this image is in the two faces and the bubbles. Crop it tighter, turn it to black and white, and you'd have a much more emotionally connecting image.
Thank you, Bill. Could I have a blank screen, please? Thank you. I'm going to do a judge change now. Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Bill. Jackie and Nathan, if you are there you are. Yeah. Yes, could you log on and join us? Sure. Welcome to the panel, Jackie Rankin and Nathan Madigan. Okay, we're good to go. Everyone happy? Can we have our next print, please? There is no caption for this image. this print has scored 68. And we have a challenge from Nathan, who's on 78.
Yeah, look, I gave this a strong bronze because the only thing I can take off is a few technicals. The photographer could have walked a few more steps and made a perfectly balanced structure. I see that. But what we're actually seeing is humanity, and that's what we're judging documentary for, that we've got three stories. One is the cafe itself, which is the smaller story. There's a downturn in people, great, that's not the big one, but the statement we've got here is something that's really close to all of us. It's the disconnect between a couple. Technology is involved but not responsible, but we turn to it, and that's what we're seeing in the gentleman with his phone, and the girl is clearly distressed, not just bored. There's some emotion going on there, and they are not going well. And in contrast is another couple, whether or not they're a couple, we don't even need to go into that kind of debate. But there is joy, and they're right next to each other. There's a lot of statements, and I can talk more, but I'm just interested in the rest of the group.
Thank you, Nathan. We'll go to Tony now. So, Tony, you were on 63.
Yeah, I enjoy the mundane aspect of this and the everydayness, but, I just feel like ripping the mat off and seeing the rest of the images behind it. Yes, I'm not enjoying the crop, and the way the crop is, it's sort of emphasising that building behind more than the people. So, I enjoy their relationships and looking at them, but I just can't get past the crop. Sorry.
Thank you, Tony. And Jackie, smack bang there on 67.
Yeah, and fine for it to be on 67. I'm finding that couple on the right, the cropping of the foot, and it's unresolved. I think you're reading a little bit more into it than what is really there. I had a problem also with the space in the middle. That's unresolved, so it's 67.
And Nathan. Thank you, Jackie. Back to you, Nathan. Yeah.
Was there a caption with this? Okay.
No caption.
Because it didn't need it. Okay, well, as a group, we need to come up with the right score, so I appreciate everybody considering it. I would like to give it a point because of the strength of humanity we're reading in this, but I appreciate your perspective. I'm going to stay on 78. It's my highest single point award that I can give, and I still believe in this story. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan. Everybody can rescore. And the image has gone up a point to 69. Thank you, judges. And can we have our next print, please? And the caption is favourite toy. Okay, this print has scored 73, a bronze award. And if I could get a comment from Jackie, I think, who was on 75.
Perhaps this would have gone into another realm if all those instances had happened in sequence. There, I'm not sure, but I was happy on that 75. But yeah, there's good storytelling. Well done.
Thanks, Jackie. Could we have our next print, please? The caption is Waitangi. Waitangi. Thank you, judges. We have a score of 70, a bronze award. And we have a challenge from Nathan, who's on 82.
And completely alone by at least 15 points. Well, the caption doesn't work for me because I'm Australian. I don't understand that. But if I had to write my own caption, then it would be long because there's so much story. This is everyday life. The setting is strong. We know where it is. We can see tradition and strength. We can see leadership and character. We can see specific roles of an entire community. There's not even anything aside from the camera itself that says this is present day, really. And as we go through the story, which I believe this category is all about, there are so many characters in there and they're interacting and they're their own identities. There's a strong single man at the back. There's guys holding each other at the front. There's a guy leading the way, doing the work. There's a lot of story in this, and I can't fault the treatment. It's beautiful. So I'm interested in others.
Thanks, Nathan. Selena, you are on 62.
Yeah, I've scored this in the professional standard range. I feel that there's a couple of things. First, cropping and lack of detail in the sky. I'm not sure that is necessary. Also, too, in terms of the blacks, it's quite flat. It could do with a bit of more of a punch of contrast, a bit more black content, and it also, in those blacker and shadowy areas, it breaks down a little bit. So I feel it's either over sharpened or it's been over treated, and yeah, that's why I've given it a 62.
Thank you. And Tony, you are on 73. Would you like to add?
Yes, I would love to have gone up to a silver, but I just sort of find the treatment of it just a bit too severe for this category, to be honest. And I mean, I know it's got to the stage and we're judging it, but yeah, if it had been a little bit softer in its treatment, love the structure of the image, but yeah, no high for me, sorry.
Thank you. And back to you, Nathan.
Yeah, sure. The composition is perfect. We have a rule of thirds. We have a horizontal rule of thirds. We've got a horizon in the perfect place where no real heads are being chopped through that are important. We've got our lead character in the right quadrant. I think the composition and the crop works. The sky, I don't think we need to see a sky. This is a graphical story. And it's all about the people. The treatment is exactly correct, I believe, for every character in this story. We don't need to see the ripples in the water. We need to see the texture on the skin, and we can see every single character. I believe that this is deliberate, that if we added contrast, then those highlights would be way too prominent, and blacks would just be... we'd lose everything about this image that's beautiful. So everything you guys have seen, I've seen as well. I would attribute that to the talent of the author. So I'm on 82. I really see this as a silver. I invite you to see where you can go with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Judges, please rescore. The current score is 70.
Not Australia.
Okay, it's gone up 3 points. We have a 73. Excellent. Could I have a blank screen, please? I'm going to do another judge change. Thank you, Selena. Steve Scalone, can I have you onto the panel, please? I'll get you to log in. Excellent. We're all logged in. All our judges happy and ready to go again. And can we have our next print, please? And our caption is, "Take my hand, hold my heart." Okay, we have an 80 silver award. But we have a challenge from Tony Carter, who's on 86. Yes, you can challenge, Tony. And you have some support, obviously, in this area.
Yes, so what I see here is just, a very good piece of visual communication and a connection, running through this image. There's so many elements in this image, but they're all brought together by the emotion in the hands. The husband holding up the face of the lady is obviously just given birth, and the connection down to the dad, to the hand of the baby. The water that you can just look into but not see much, and it's just got that dark base at the bottom, which sort of gives it strength and lifts you back up into the brighter areas. Probably print quality is not quite perfect, but I can forgive that for silver with distinction, for the visual communication and the documentary element of this beautifully seen in court image.
Yep, thank you. Steve, I'm going to go to you on 68.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. I do see the tenderness and I do really see the story. However, the technical issues that do come with this image, I feel do outweigh that display of emotion and things like that. To me, a very simple crop would have actually just allowed that complete narrative, all those beautiful gestures of the hands, to be really there in the forefront. I feel that there is too much distraction, but I'm always persuaded.
Thank you, Steve. Catherine on 84.
Yeah, I won't dwell on it too much. Everything that Tony said, but also just in terms of the hands, I find that the mother's hand down the very bottom in the water is also adding to it for me. And I don't know if you're talking about cropping that out, Steve, but for me, there's just utter exhaustion in that hand. It's just in her face. I mean, she could almost be dead. She just looks. She's had it, and that's an extra layer of story for me, as well as all the connections going on in that hand. She's just so exhausted. So I really like that crop and all that connection and circularity. It's great.
Thanks, Catherine. Now back to you, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, some of the most powerful documentary photographs in the world are not 100% sharp or might not even be exposed to the greatest level. But, I see this, I see the order and the chaos here, and, I think, 86 is a fair score for a beautiful image.
Okay. Thanks, Tony. Let's rescore. Okay, we've gone up a point. We have an 81 silver award. And could we have our next print, please? Life is the caption. Okay, this print has scored 70, a bronze award, and we have a challenge from Jackie Rankin, who's on 83.
The tones in this image, I think, is what's given it power to me. The emerging of life and the emerging of these figures out of the darkness. I like the way that their heads are blending into the background and just that expression and on her face and the tenderness of the hand. And his gesture leaning close to her face. I got emotion in this, and that's why I went to that silver range. Maybe you have too. Maybe you missed that at the start.
Thank you, Jackie. We have our other judges all very close together, so I'm going to go to you, Steve, on this one. If you are happy to, because you're all in exactly the same scoring range there. So, Steve?
Yeah, Jackie, I did pick up on that tenderness, that real kind of wrap and the anguish in her face. However, I feel that the photographer perhaps has influenced the shading of the very flat lighting that is there to try and portray something that wasn't there, and perhaps even trying to edge in a mood. And that, to me, perhaps is its own conflict.
Thank you, Steve. My other three judges, who are all on basically the same score, do you want to add something further there, Nathan?
Yeah, look, I resonate with the emotion. This is a true feeling, it seems, but as a finished product, if this was the lighting the photographer had to deal with, I feel like they probably should keep going and make it black and white and really draw out that tenderness between the two. So as it stands, I gave it high professional practice, but more could be done to make it more impactful, I think, to honour that emotion.
Thanks, Nathan. I think I'll come back to you now, Jackie. Yeah.
No, I've taken all that on board. Maybe I just went out on a bit of a limb, and I'm going to just pull back a bit on that.
Thank you, Jackie. Okay. Everyone can rescore. Just bear with me. Okay. The printer scored 69. And we'll accept that score. Yep. I just had to clarify something there, Jackie, with that. Okay. Thank you, judges. And could we have our next print, please? Our caption, kids enjoying summer swim in bay. Okay, this print has scored 68. Happy to accept that score, our judges. Yep. I think I'll go to you, Catherine, for a comment for our photographer.
Yeah, well framed, beautiful lines in the structure and the reflections there. I just feel maybe if the photographer had waited for a different moment and you didn't have that figure on the left cluttered up against the bush and also the pole through the central figure, who's really important, if they'd been clear of the poles, it would have propelled it forward.
Thank you, Catherine. And could we have our next print, please? Our caption reads, Oliver preparing for the win. I'll read that in a minute. Thank you, judges. Your scores. Okay, this printer scored 68. Catherine, you can challenge. You're on 73. You are challenging, yes? Okay.
Yeah, I think this print deserves bronze. This photographer has really used the light to pick out their subject and created I find quite a powerful image. I feel there's a lot of concentration and emotion on that boy's face, and yeah, I believe he is preparing for the win. I enjoy all the murky figures around. He just pops out of the frame. I'm not asking for huge things here, just a nice solid solid bronze. Yeah, I'm not alone here. See, Nathan's with me on a bronze, so good stuff.
Yep. Okay. I'm going to go to you now, Steve.
Yeah, look, I do appreciate the story, and I will come up to a low bronze. However, I do feel that everything that's happened after the image was taken is too heavy-handed. I feel that the slight distractions that were actually left to be quite bright of the other two children's shoulders and things like that really do distract. Yeah, and I feel that the post-production perhaps was just too heavy-handed. But I will come up with you.
Okay, and briefly, Nathan?
Very briefly, kudos to the photographer for seeing the thing that's happening on the side of the action where everyone else is looking at. Obviously, there's a big event. They've isolated the kid in the sunlight. And just, yeah, that's it.
Yep. And Catherine?
Just really quickly, thanks Steve for coming up. Those highlights on the other kids there, for me, add to the believability. They're not strong enough to compete with your subject, but if they had been completely knocked out, I would have started to doubt this image, and at the moment I'm really believing it.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. Could we rescore, please, judges? Okay, we have a 72 bronze award. Well done. Could I have a blank screen, please? Thank you. I'm going to do a judge change. Tony, thank you very much. Sarah, can I have you back on the panel? Just get you logged in there, Sarah. All good. Can we have our next print, please? And the caption, an intervention-free water birth. Thank you, judges. Can I have your scores? I just need to remind you, we need to get a little bit of a wriggle on, so I may start to squeak you a bit with your comments. Warning. Yes. Yes. I'm getting tapped from behind. That's the first time that's happened to me. Getting the tap.
Sorry.
Okay, scores in. How are you going, Steve?
Not too well.
Number lock's not working. Just use the top numbers.
That way.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry. Technology, right?
Okay. We have a 79 bronze award. Are you challenging, Catherine? You are. Catherine's challenging. Excellent. Catherine's on 93. I certainly hope you were going to challenge on 93.
There is no way I was going to let that go. I just saw this image and thought, holy moly. The power and drama in this, emotion. For me, this is a very dynamic, movement-filled image. It was probably actually quite static, but the way those black figures are surging in to support her, and then you get there and there's this anguish on her face. She's clamping onto that support pole with her right hand. She actually looks like she's crossing her fingers with her left hand. The fingers are slightly crossed there. The photographer has caught the baby just before they actually come out into the world. You know, they're still under the water. The moment is all there. The light is fantastic. You know, for a documentary image to capture this, I really can't fault this image. I've just got to give it a gold. So, Nathan, what are you doing down there?
Thank you, Catherine. let's work out who's going to speak next. Nathan.
Awesome. Everything you saw, I felt. It was so strong. What an epic scene. I gave it a high-level professional practice because the final treatment just drove me a little bit mad. But if you can talk to me about why the lack of detail in the blacks and the weightiness of the image actually contributes, then you'll drag me up very easily. It's such a powerful scene. At the moment, the communication is dark and ominous, and that baby is in control, and it's a lot of dark power, maybe because of the treatment. So I'm listening. It's strong.
Thanks, Nathan. Jackie, on 84.
Yeah, so I'm on 84. Look, I thought it was about the light. A huge amount of that's where my eye's going, and I think that light has been brought to this situation by the photographer maybe waiting for this moment. And it's very expressive. All those little hands and dark areas around the edge, deliberately a way of framing this, the tension. And yeah, I'm on silver distinction now, but I'm still listening to Catherine to go to gold. But yeah, you guys, I think the dark figures are a perfect balance for that light, which is bringing life into this part of the planet. And that baby under the water still hasn't taken its first breath.
Okay. I'm going to go straight back to you now, Catherine. Yep.
Thank you, Jackie. There is actually some detail in the blacks. There is enough, and as Jackie pointed out, those black figures are very important to the composition. There's this beautiful triangle of light in there with all the action in the centre. I just feel completely sucked in, and those black figures, are the things taking me in there. I'm just so drawn in. I think this is... I'm staying on gold, but I do ask you for a silver distinction.
Okay, the current score is 79. I'd asked you all to rescore the image. And we have an 86, a silver with distinction. Thank you, judges. Next print, please. And our caption, Glen Park Pre-Lamb Shear. Okay, this print scores 72, a bronze award. But we have a challenge from Jackie Rankin, who's on 84.
Yeah, look, I would have loved to have seen this in another category where the little spots in the background could have been blacked out, because it's what's happening with this mob of texture in the front that looks like another animal, a cat or something. It's got so much animation, and it's taken me to another level of interpretation, I guess. It was really interesting, and that's engaged me. I'm captured by that figure.
Thank you, Jackie. We have 3 judges on 68, and I'm going to go to Sarah this time.
Yeah, no, look, I really enjoy this composition. The concentration on the shearer's face and the action is there. I did struggle with not having a focal point in the mass of that sheep wool, and yes, my eye was drawn away to the back. So I guess the background just sort of seemed to drag me away, and the top of his head became my focal point. So I wanted more elements to draw me into this, and I wasn't finding them. So that's where I was on 68.
Thank you, Sarah. And Steve on 76.
Yeah, look, I'm coming up with Jackie. On closer inspection, this is printed masterfully. Every single bit of detail in those rich, deep blacks are shown. And I think that should alone itself be awarded. And after you mentioned that strange wolf-like apparition, it completely changed everything. So I'm coming up with you.
Thank you, Steve. And Jackie, in closing?
Yes, we're judging a print here, not what you want it to be, but it's what it's presented, and it's taken it to different levels for me. The arms coming in, the action. There's nothing taking it away from this piece of wool that's turned into another animal or toy or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, 84.
Thank you, Jackie. Let's all rescore. And we have a 77, a bronze award. Can we have our next print, please? The caption is "Aphatazzi for rent." Okay. This printer scored 76, a bronze award. Very consistent judging there too. And I'm going to go to you, Sarah, for a brief comment to our photographer.
I really enjoy this image, and I love that interplay between the world that he's looking into and where he would like to be going. I guess the print quality took it back for me a bit, and the flat lighting somewhat drew me back. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, judges. Can we have our next print, please? And again, I encourage you to stay on the hop. We have some work to do. And the caption reads, "Final round of 3." Thank you, judges. This printer scored 72, a bronze award. Okay, Steve, if I could have a comment from you on 72.
Yeah, great decisive moment. I feel what needed it to be excelled into perhaps a higher award is faster shutter speed, just perhaps some other different camera craft techniques in order just to freeze that incredible action.
Thank you, Steve. Could I have a blank screen very quickly, please? Print handlers, thank you. I'm going to do a judge change. Thank you, Nathan. Bill? We are accepting that score, by the way. Yep, sorry. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Nathan. Bill, if you could log on for me.
Sign off. Yep, there we go. And then click. I am.
Can I be nobody?
No.
Okay, we're good to go. Thank you. Can we have our next print, please? And the caption, "A warning from Grandpa." Thank you, judges. This print has scored 68. Are we happy with that? Yes, very close together in our scoring range. I'm going to go to Catherine for a quick comment. Thank you, Catherine.
It's a beautiful little series. For me to take it to an award level, I would have liked to get rid of the woman behind Grandpa in the first frame. She's bothering me. And the groom is pretty much identical in the first two frames, so I didn't have that real sense of progression. But a lovely moment. Well done.
Thank you, Catherine. And if we could have our next print, please. And our caption, lonely wheelchairs at various weddings. This print has scored 71, a bronze award. A comment from Bill on 75.
Yeah, if I may. I would love to have awarded this much more highly. The print quality is fairly poor, but I just want to comment on the idea. I've got a mother who's at this stage right now, and you can either be the centre of attention or you can be completely isolated, so I can relate to the different scenarios that are here, which express both options. But, you know, for the photographer to continue working in this vein, he'll be following the tradition of people like Jesse Marlowe in Melbourne, Martin Parr, you know, observing the foibles of human behaviour, and I think it's a vein well worth mining.
Thank you, Bill. Could we have our next print, please? Thank you, Catherine. Selena, could you step in for Catherine? The caption is, a helping hand. Okay. This print scores 63 and some fairly close together scores here. I'm going to go to you, Jackie, on 62 for a comment for our photographer.
Yeah, there's a little bit too much going on and clutter in the middle to tell that story. The skin tone's sort of a bit washy as well.
Thank you, Jackie. Could we have our next print, please? Thank you, Selena, for stepping in. And our caption? Cleaning up riverbanks after floods, Ethiopia. Okay. We have an 82, a silver award. Very consistent judging, but we have a challenge from Steve Scalone, who's on 87, and you can challenge.
Okay, have a look at this gorgeous image. It's amazingly... No, sorry, I'm being cheeky. The actual amount of storytelling that's within this image is actually quite incredible. Compositionally, everything in terms of that triangle of sand and obviously this flood-torn terrain is literally holding this person within its grasp. The actual casual shoulder of holding, the actual shovel holding and that type of thing, and that beautiful, decisive moment that's coming in. The reason that I didn't go higher, and I'm sure somebody will end up commenting on it, is that very fine vignetting that's happening around the edges. To me, I do feel that that has pulled away from it, which is why I didn't end up into the kind of higher end. So it's printed beautifully, even that wonderful balance of that dark triangle right up in the top edge has beautifully balanced this composition.
Thank you, Steve. Jackie, I have you on 63. Do you want to comment?
I'm just doing a lot of listening here, I think. I guess I had a problem. I thought there was a lot of over-sharpening happening, and there were some black lines through the middle that technically, I don't like talking about technical things like that to bring it down. I couldn't really work out why there was so much space at the top, the right-hand corner. And her awkward sort of way her feet are on the ground, and the placement of that, the awkwardness of carrying the tool implement and the application of the cleaning of the riverbanks. I couldn't really see a riverbank. It looked more like an ocean or a sand to me.
Okay, thanks, Jackie. Bill?
I agreed with you about something. I can't remember what it was. The composition of this is perfect because, to me, it is the immensity and uncontrollable nature of nature itself, and the small, futile human response to natural tragedies and so forth. So I think she's beautifully framed in this. It's almost a tapestry behind her. I think the print quality is super. That vignetting doesn't bother me too much. I didn't notice it until you. It's almost like a frame. It's okay. I don't think it's worth taking away points for it. But I just think there's a human story here against this backdrop of beautiful nature. It's almost like a human being has been airlifted into an aerial picture. It's intriguing optically, visually. To me.
Thank you, Bill. I think for now I'm just going to go. I'm going to go straight back to you, Steve. Okay.
Yeah. Look, I believe Bill put it perfectly in terms of this wonderful moment that has actually been captured, where this woman is sort of trying to deal with her own situation in order of cleaning up the bank and things like that. So just come on up a little bit.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, everyone rescore. We're currently on 82. And we have an 85, a silver with distinction. Thank you, judges. I'm going to do a judge change. Thank you, Catherine. Tony, can I have you back on the panel, please? Tony Carter, if you could log in. Once you're logged in, let's jump up. Excellent. We're good to go. Can we have our next print, please? And our caption, "When water is life." Okay, we have a 67 and some very consistent judging across the board there. I'm going to go to you, Bill, on this one at 67 for a comment for the photographer.
Yes, thank you. Everything on the left-hand side and the right-hand side of this image pulls away from essentially what's going on, and you can actually overcome some of the fact that the figures are blocking one another in the middle by turning it into a vertical crop. Much stronger image that way.
Thank you, Bill. And could we have our next print, please? And our caption, "Boredom at the Baptism." Thank you, judges. We have a 72, a bronze award. Are we happy with that? Thank you. Very good. All right, I'm going to go to you, Sarah, for a comment for our photographer.
I really enjoyed this image, and in the background there on the front row pew, there's this beautiful expression from a little girl, also bored. What didn't take it up any higher for me was the composition just felt a little bit awkward for me. So, yeah, just maybe moving a little bit or change of lens.
Thanks, Sarah. Could we have our next print, please? Our caption reads, "Future long jump champion in the making." Okay, this printer scored 72, a bronze award. Yeah, we're all happy with that. Very good. Okay, I'm going to go to you, Tony Carter. Smack on 72 for a comment for our photographer.
Great centre and jump. I'm not sure about the little boy who needs to go to the toilet on the right. But yeah, maybe just looking at your depth of field and what you want to have in and out of focus. But yeah, great capture.
Thank you, Tony. What I'm going to ask you all to do is to re-enter your exact score again for us. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I stuffed up. I saw.
Yeah. We'll just do a little reset on that for you, Steve.
Sorry.
That's okay. All good. I'll just get some assistance with that. While we're doing that, just got a few things to remind the audience about the Ian Poole Award. If you see a New Zealand judge who you've been happy with, grab a form, write their name down and nominate them for the Ian Poole Award. And there's a little drop box just inside the door to enter their name into the Ian Poole Award. Obviously, there's some other things going on apart from what's happening this weekend, rather today. Apparently, it's NZIPP's 80th birthday, 1938 to 2018. A lot of us would love to live to 80, but, you know, let's see how we go there. The other thing, too, if you need to get onto the live streaming link, it's on the NZIPP public Facebook page if you need the link to pick up live streaming. Yeah, and this, just to reiterate, we are judging the documentary category, as I mentioned about 2.25 hours ago. I just thought I'd come back to that. And it's sponsored by Leica, and we thank Leica very much for sponsoring this category. We can't do what we do without our sponsors, and they're a hugely important part of awards systems. So thank you to Leica. Yeah. We're almost set to just tidy this little... I know it's only 1 point, but these things make a difference. I have to get this spot on.
I apologise.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Can you guys rescore what you scored for me?
Everyone?
Yes. Just bear with us, folks. Sorry. just bear with me, folks. There is a strong reason for this, because the score changed by 1 point. Now, 1 point can make a huge difference. It doesn't sound like much, but it can, okay? So I know we're in the same scoring range, but the score has to stay the same, okay?
You'll be late for your walk tomorrow at this rate. I'm sorry, guys.
So, judges, could you all please enter 72 for me? Thank you, judges. Again, I apologise for that, but I had to explain to you the reason for that. That 1 point can make all sorts of differences in lots of areas. So that's what happens when we have a little tweak. Thank you. Can we have our next print, please? And our caption, I'm sorry, competitors at polo match. And this printer scored 62, and I might go to, I'll go to you, Steve, on 62 for a comment for the photographer.
Yeah, camera craft and everything like that is great. However, we're missing the most important part, and that is the expression of the story and things like that. In terms of printing, just watch out on those highlights as well.
Thank you, Steve. Could we have our next print, please? No caption for this image, by the way. Thank you, judges. Okay, this printer scored 62. I'm happy to accept that. Bill is going to, well, Bill's just going to comment for me, I think. Is that right? Yep.
If I may.
Yeah. Bill's on 60. No, that's fine.
All I wanted to say is that the great promise of tension, the tension promised by the woman in the doorway looking into the room, dissolves almost completely by the time you get to the bed. You know, there's no seeming connection between what she's promising with her expression and body language and what's going on in the rest of the room. There's this huge disconnect going on. So the narrative is very unclear, and the print is also very flat.
Thanks, Bill. Could we have our next print, please? And our caption, Dad comforts sick son. Okay, this printer scored 70, a bronze. And we're happy to accept our 70. Yes, we are. Okay. I'm going to ask for a quick comment from Tony Carter. You're on 68, Tony.
I think it's a beautiful moment. Just watch your highlights and your darkening down in the background. But yeah, beautiful moment.
Thank you, Tony. Could we have our next print, please? Our caption, 2 by 2. This print has scored 69. I'm happy to accept that. Could we have a comment perhaps from you, Jackie Rankin?
Yeah, there's a nice moment caught with the woman, the mother coming through. The print quality really lets it down, the over-sharpening and the dark parts on the left, the almost haloing of the building. Just work on that.
Thank you, Jackie. And could we have our next print? Our caption, I'm sorry, I won't be long. Thank you, judges. Okay, this print has scored 81, a silver award. But we have a challenge from Tony Carter, who's on 87. You're not alone, Tony. You have Sarah on 85 and you have Bill on 83.
The split in this image, it's the exposure is perfect for capturing the inside lighting and the outside, and just that lovely that diagonal line running from the U straight up through the middle of the image. So that's really holding it in together. Okay, very rural story, great exposure. Love the elements of the the gentleman on the right, looking back into the image and down that vertical line again. Something that's split in half, like this image is, has to have strong elements either side, and this has that in spades, and I think it's an easy silver with distinction.
Thank you, Tony. Steve, I'm going to go to you now, if that's okay. I gave you time to walk back to your chair. Steve, yeah.
Yeah, look, I love the two worlds that has actually been created with this, Tony. The technique and technically, it's a very difficult exposure to grab. However, I do feel that the printing really does let it down. There's really too much blocked up blacks and shadows, and it is all just a little bit too muddy. Perhaps the information was there, or it wasn't. Not to know. However, I do feel that it's the print quality that pulls it down.
Okay, I'm going to go to Sarah. I think Sarah's keen to speak to this print. Sarah,
yeah.
You're on 85?
Yeah, I'm on 85. I squeaked this one into silver with distinction because I could actually hear this you calling, and for me to feel that sensation gives me a big impact. And for all those reasons Tony's mentioned, and then that extra sensory, response there, At first, the figure on the right bothered me because of his stance, but then I was thinking, you know, as you stand there when sweeping the floor, you do get a bit bored, and you're waiting for the wool to come through and, you know, do your bit in that process. I think there's beautiful compositional elements that lift this into the silver with distinction. The technical quality of the printing did pull me back, but there was enough there to keep me.
Thank you, Sarah. And Bill, briefly.
I've been a little bit cautious on this one. The only information that I wanted to add to what's already been said is this reminds me very much of a terrestrial version of one of those split underwater shots, where you've got two worlds being shown, underwater and over the water. This is much the same. I've never seen a shearing shot like this, and as Australian New Zealanders, we know we've seen hundreds and hundreds and thousands of shearing shots, and I've never seen one like this. It's very good image, very strong.
Thank you, Bill. And in closing, Tony?
Yeah, so, you know, hopefully Bill is going to come up with me. I'm hoping that. But yeah, my initial reaction was, you know, the light, the muddiness of the blacks and things like that. So that's why gold just wasn't in the equation. But hey, you know, on these rural scenes, look at the time of the day. You know, what time of the day is that? You know, it is bleak. You know, and just getting that exposure into the right areas is very important. Compositionally, it's just so good, and easy silver with distinction. So come with me, guys.
Thank you, Tony. Everybody rescore. Okay, we have an 86, a silver with distinction. Well done, judges. Thank you. Could I have a blank screen, print handlers, quickly? Thank you. I'm going to do a judge change. Thank you, Jackie. Selena, can I have you on the panel? Stepping up. Get you to log in for me.
Yes,
yep,
sorry.
Thank you. Okay, and can we have our next print, please? Thank you, judges. We're back on. And our caption reads, Ritual Sperm Whale Jawbone Extraction. Thank you, judges. I'll get you to get a wriggle on. Sarah, Tony. Okay, we have a silver award 81 and we have a challenge from Tony who's on 88.
Yeah, 88. For a start, what I really enjoy about this is the otherworldliness of something that you don't see every day, and it's grotesque, but there is just a certain beauty in it as well. I think the set works particularly well, and I just love the whites against that red, that blood, and everything is just standing out, and the use of the blues. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about that coming together cohesively as a set. The only reason I didn't go gold with this was because of the whites not holding together in the overalls. Otherwise, I would have been bang 90 something. So, but I still think all the elements are there. I think the photographer has presented it in a great set there where everything just flows, and the storytelling. Great central image. And, you know, it's...
Thanks, Tony. Yep.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm clipping you, champ. Yep. Okay. Selena at 72.
Yeah, look, I think apologies to the photographer. I think I've been a little harsh on this one. I will be coming up with my score. I'm listening. Again, yeah, I think the colours and the treatment of the whites and a few things like that are what has held me down, but I'm listening and will be coming up.
Thank you, Selena. And to you, Steve.
Yeah, I'm exactly where Tony is. There was a number of different decisions that the photographer has made in order to communicate precisely exactly what he or she wanted in this photo essay. And it's that post-production, that vividness, so that blood red really kind of stands out. It's actually quite harrowing and a horrific thing to, I'm guessing, to witness, but he or she has actually really pinpointed the precise post-production that's needed with this, and I think it communicates it brilliantly.
Thank you, Steve. Bill, you had your hand in the air, and you're going to be brief, aren't you?
I am going to be brief. I could have done with fewer pictures. What's missing for me is a really good opening shot. The last shot is fantastic. That's the place to finish, but I'm wondering if this story could have been told in 6 frames instead of 9. I feel like there's too much here.
Okay. I'm going to go back to you now, Tony, to close.
Yeah, I'm asking for a silver distinction, not gold. And I think there is enough of a story in the 9, separate images, and let's hopefully get it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Let's all rescore. Okay. Okay, we have an 81 silver award. Correct. Thank you. Hasn't changed. That's what I'm... Sorry, I'm just hesitating there. I'm just looking. I can see some changes in scores. Bill, I need you to enter a score. That's why.
I did enter a score.
Did you?
I did.
I've just got a gap there, mate.
I'll do it again.
We have an 84, a silver award. That's probably what we were all thinking. That's okay. No probs. Thank you, team. And can we have our next print, please? We do. Our caption is Acrobat. Okay, we have a 69, and we're everyone happy to accept 69? Yep. Okay. For a comment, I'm going to go to you, Sarah. You were on 68.
Yeah, I can appreciate the concept here and really enjoy what's happening with each of the different poses there. I just wish that the lighting on the figure wasn't treated so harshly, and some of the print quality, I think, the black on the black kind of is not so effective. So yeah, awesome idea. Keep working on it.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay. Can we have our next print, please? And the caption reads, "A ceremonious gifting from surrogate to new mum." Okay, we have a 66 for this print. Fairly consistent judging across the board there. I'm going to go to you, Steve, for a comment for the photographer.
Yeah, just a comment to the photographer. Perhaps the contrast is a little bit too heavy. We're really losing details, so just bring that back.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Catherine, for stepping in for me there. And can we have our next print, please? And just a reminder, judges can step off any print at any time they feel they don't wish to judge that print, so that can happen. I'll just give you our caption here now, and it is Smoko. This print has scored 63. Again, some fairly close judging there. So I'm going to go to you, Tony, for a comment for our photographer. You're on 63.
I think it's all about the print quality here, and you know the blacks are just totally gone. So nice moment, but just think about your exposure and what you're doing with your blacks.
Thanks, Tony. And can we have our next print, please? And our caption, an Italian tradition, la passeggiata. La passeggiata. Okay, this print has scored 61. Once again, we're quite close together. I'm going to go to you, Steve Scalone, on 61 for a comment for our photographer.
I appreciate the observation of the graphical elements of the bicycle tyres. However, I feel that there is no true focal point, which is perhaps not elevating it up further.
Thank you, Steve. And can we have our next print, please? And our caption, game over. Okay, this print has scored 68. And we're happy with that score at 68. Nope, Selena is going to challenge. Selena, you are on 75 in the bronze area. Let's hear from you, Selena.
I think the definition, based is well executed of professional standard is well executed professional practice. Bronze exceeds normal level of expectation. I feel that it's not necessarily silver, it's not necessarily gold, but I think that this creator, this photographer, deserves to be rewarded for this perspective and for showing us another element of what it's like with kids in sport. And kids in sport, particularly, you can tell that they've played the game. You can tell that they've finished up, and this kid's having this complete meltdown and tantrum, but doesn't really want to be showing us that that's what it's doing. And I think it's you can tell a story from this. And it's, I've got a 3-year-old, and I've got a 7-year-old who's played soccer, and I can tell you now that when he had a tantrum, he had well and truly had a tantrum. And this is what kids sometimes do, and it is growing in maturity in sport. And I think that this is what this image is depicting without actually showing any faces or any additional elements.
Thanks, Selena. Okay, I'm going to go to you, Bill. Okay, on 60.
So I'm at the other end of the spectrum here. I feel that the composition is great. The idea is great. The fact that the child, this young warrior, is masked under a coat, it precludes me from having any human connection with him. So I don't need to hear all that explanation from Selena to tell me what I can't see.
Okay. And Sarah, you're on 73.
Yeah, I squeaked this into bronze for the story, basically, because I could read into that. And yes, I am a mum, and I don't need to see the faces because I can imagine those faces and I can imagine those emotions and that little boy who's cowering under his jacket because, he's just finished his game and he's cold. And, I can feel it. So I squeaked it into bronze at a 73.
Thank you, Sarah. And Selena, in closing?
I don't think I need to see faces, Bill, to get the story in this or the emotion in this. The emotion to me is the fact that you can't see anything and the fact that you can tell exactly what's going on without seeing that. And I love that about a documentary image without needing... I'm only asking for another 2 points. Take it into bronze. Let's reward the author.
Thanks, Selena.
Photographer.
Excellent. Not awesome. Can we all rescore? And you're all awesome, by the way. Everyone in the room.
Awesome Wells.
Yeah. Okay. We have a 72, a bronze award. Could I have a blank screen very quickly, please? Thank you. I'm going to do a judge change. Thank you, Steve. Nathan, can I have you onto the panel? Get you to log in for me. Okay, we're good to go. Can we have our next print, please? And our caption, Waiting Bride.
Waiting.
Bride. Okay, this print has scored 71, a bronze award. And are we happy to accept our score of 71? We are, yes. Okay, I'm going to go for a comment and I think I'll go to you, Nathan, on 75.
Yeah, I gave it a strong bronze. Everything works. If the photographer could take a little step to the left and frame this bride even more fully, but arguably this is deliberate to show a kind of a peeping around and adding to the tension of this bride's face. So it works both ways. It's tricky.
Yep. Thank you, Nathan. And can we have our next print, please? And our caption, The Ring Bearers on a Mission. Once again, we thank our sponsor of this category, Leica. We can't do what we do without our sponsors, so thank you, Leica. Thank you, judges. Let's have some scores. Okay, this print has scored 75, a bronze award. Are we happy to accept that?
Oh, yeah, go on.
You're challenging, Sarah?
I'm at 82.
You're on 82,
Yeah.
so you're going to challenge? Excellent. Sarah's on 82, she's challenging.
Look, I squeaked this one over as well. I love the story in this and feel that it's one of those moments where it is the decisive moment captured, and I can see the intent on the little boy's face and in his feet, and he's on his mission, and the dog is doing what he's supposed to be doing, which is following in behind. I love that everyone else is walking off in a different direction and he's going off on his way, and that it's come through after the moment. We can see the confetti has scattered all around the ground, and you know, I feel that the composition is strong enough to hold this one, and come with me into silver.
Thank you, Sarah. Selena, you're on 68. I'd like to hear from you.
I guess the reason I didn't go into bronze was because I think this is a case where sometimes the caption doesn't do a photo a favour. Whilst they are on a mission, nobody else is, and they're in the background, which I guess can contribute to the strength of it. But I feel that if they were on a mission, a ring bearer's mission is to deliver rings, and I feel it's after the fact and after the wedding, and I think that that's where I've popped it in high professional practice because of that reason.
Okay. Bill, you're on 80.
Yes, I'm largely with Sarah on this one. I think it's a really terrific perspective, great point of view, something we don't see often enough, with the photographer thinking his way through the picture to give us a different viewpoint here, emphasising the smallness of the child, marginalising the adults, separating the two worlds between children and adults. He is on a mission because he's not with the adults. That's basically it. He's pursuing his own agenda here. And I think it's gorgeous that he's just kind of walking through the middle of the frame with confetti strewn all around him. So it's a nice print.
Thanks, Bill. And Sarah, to close.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's a beautiful print quality. So, look, I love the central placement of him as well. I mean, sometimes that can be not effective, but in this case, I think it is, with the balance of those two white sort of figures either side up above. Definitely, I think this is of the quality of a silver. So let's go there, people.
Okay, everyone rescore. The current score is 75. And Bill, if I could just get you to...
I'm sorry, did I not do that?
There we go. And we have an 80, a silver award. Can we have our next print, please? And our caption, The Explorer. Okay, this print has scored 70, a bronze award. And if we're happy with that, I will go to, I think I'll go to you, Tony, for a comment for our photographer.
Strong composition, but just watch the highlights. Love the graphics.
Thanks, Tony. Could we have our next print, please? So, folks, I'm just going to ask you to sit back down. I need a blank screen if we could. Thank you. I just don't have my image on screen. Thank you, print handlers. Just hold for me for a second, judges. We just have a... yeah. We need to fill a bit of airspace, folks. It has been updated. You can see it. I've got something else. Okay, I have something else to what you have on screen. Okay, so I just need to get a refresh and a reset on this, so just bear with me for a sec. And I'll get you to go back and we'll judge again, okay? While we have a spell, who haven't we spoken to? I think Selena, have you had a chat yet? No. Well, come on, tell everyone about Selena Rollerson then. I don't know how many sentences would you like me to give you? I'm going to give you 3 sentences and a question.
Okay, so I'm from Brisbane, Australia, obviously. I am a birth photographer, so a birth specialist, and also photograph maternity and newborn and family photos as well. The current Queensland Professional Photographer of the Year after taking out documentary category in March, so that was amazing. And yeah, absolutely love what I do and the wonderful families that I support. So. I can keep talking if you need me to keep talking. Tell you a joke. What's brown and sticky? Yes, a brown stick. Being a birth photographer, that's kind of appropriate, isn't it?
Thank you, Selena. Could we have our print back again? Thank you. And we'll do a reset. Thank you, judges. Our caption, Arrival on Planet Earth. Thank you, judges. We'll get some scores in. And this print has scored a 78, a bronze award. And we have a challenge immediately from Selena Rollerson, who's on 87.
I'm in silver distinction range. This is very well captured for the environment that we are talking. There is detail throughout the blacks. There is detail throughout the highlights, and the theatre lights and the theatre environment is so incredibly difficult to photograph in. Difficulty obviously shouldn't come into it, I believe, but at the same time, it's been very well handled and very well captured in this environment to get all of the relevant information that you need is in this image. You've got the theatre lights coming down onto the baby. You've got the fact that it's obviously a caesarean because you've got the wound opening, and you've got detail through the baby to the point that you can actually see lines on the baby's head and body where it's literally been lifted out and scraped through things as it's come through. So I would really love to see this go into silver distinction because of the way that it's been very well handled.
Thank you, Selena. I'm going to go to you, Bill Buckman, at the other end of the scale on 65.
Yes, I felt that this is what any good professional should do on a day-to-day basis. There's no magic in this. The photographer has been admitted to the theatre. He or she is standing there. The baby is presented. The picture is taken. It's not a startling composition. It's not a work of art in any way. What I am critical of, I've seen a number of pictures today that would have benefited from a really healthy crop, and this is one of them. We don't need all that black space on the right. We don't need the theatre lights. We know we're in a theatre. This could come in much, much tighter on the baby and have a much greater impact. I think it would raise it 5 points almost immediately because it would focus us more on what we should be looking at. I don't think the print's fantastic either.
So Nathan, you're on 78, right on the average.
Yeah, I gave it a high bronze, and I thought I'd have to fight to get it a point because of all the things Bill said. But in this case, the caption "Arrival on Planet Earth" actually helps inform us to the style of treatment as well, that this feels like a stage, it feels like a clinical procedure by aliens, and the baby itself looks a bit like that as well. So there's a bit of theatrics that help those lights give them their place. And yeah, as a structure, treatment-wise, I'm enjoying it. Otherwise, Selena's nailed it.
Thanks, Nathan. I'm going to go to you now, Sarah. Yep, if you're keen.
You know, just echoing these two judges here, that I'm on 82, and I'm really happy for it to be in the silver category, and feel it should be worthy of that.
Okay, and Selena in closing.
Bill, I've been in this environment and I've missed this shot. It is one of those that it is actually the fact that there is detail in the darks and the lights when that light is so harsh is brilliant that they've got that. And good detail. You know, there are spots that are obviously hot, there are spots that are obviously dark, but that's what you would expect. The crop, yes, I agree with you. That's why I'm not in gold. If it was well cropped, if it was framed a little bit better, I'd be straight up there into that gold straight away. And the fact that the UFO reference, oh my gosh, that is seriously so spot on, because it is literally all about that moment and all about what is happening right at that time, and it becomes just that's totally added. That's added to my score.
Okay, thank you, judges. Let's all rescore. We have an 82, a silver award. Thank you, judges. And can we have our next print, please? And our caption, "Clinging to hope, she's here, awaiting first cry."
We have got a 71, and it looks like we will accept. Will we accept that? Lovely. That's a bronze award. Thank you. Yes. Could I get maybe Bill? Could I have a comment from you, please?
The emotion in this is very plain and it's very strong. The story itself is unclear, and it's not made any clearer by the caption, so I was at a loss as to where to go with this in the documentary category. I also, again, would like to see this cropped a lot tighter. There's a heap at the bottom on the right-hand side that we don't need. It would just really bring us into that face a whole lot more with a better crop.
Thank you, Bill. Could we have the next print, please? The title is "Milking Cows is Thirsty Work." We have a score at the moment of 79. Yes, Bill, would love to hear from you. Thank you.
I'm on 84. Again, in the kind of Life magazine documentary tradition, this is a really great human moment. In keeping with what I've just been banging on about, it could be cropped a little bit tighter, but actually the only thing that kept me from going higher with this score is the lack of expression on the father's face. I really wanted to see a bit more animation there, you know, because the kid is just perfect. What brings it back up is there's milk going everywhere. The dad has splashes of milk on his face. It's running down his front, all that sort of thing. So this is a genuine moment, and I just really liked its refreshing sort of glimpse of human behaviour here.
Thank you, Bill. I'm going to go to you now, Nathan, actually, on this one, on the average.
Yep, I gave it a high bronze, and my only question to be answered that would get it to silver is, can we award a silver with that line through the father's head? His expression is great. That mimics that. He does this a lot. He's pretty bored. So the humanity is strong, but could the photographer just dropped a bit and gotten rid of that hugely distracting element? And should that cost us silver to bronze? I'm asking open question for the judges here.
Thanks, Nathan. And Tony, I'm going to hear from you. You were close to Bill. You're on 82.
Yes, Nathan, we can do that. I'm on 82, and I actually think we could probably squeak this a bit higher using some of Sarah's words, because, I've grown up in a rural environment, and I've never seen a picture like this in here, so that's, big ups. As far as the expression, I'll address that for you, Bill. That's a New Zealand look. Yes. That's us excited, that's us angry, that's us sad. So I get that. Yeah, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. I think compositionally it's very strong, and it's a good moment. If the camera angle changed, then that V line in the dad's top would have started breaking into the face, and I think it's pretty well perfect there. And in a cowshed, there's lots of elements that you got to deal with, and the strength is what the milk, isn't it? So it's very good.
Thanks, Tony. And Bill, I'm going to come back to you now to close.
Quickly, Tony, thank you. Moving the camera would have ruined the framing of the child, so that's the deal there. I think this is just a minor classic of documentary photography. I think it's something that fits really well in this category, and we should reward it.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, can we all rescore? The current score is 79. And we have an 83, a silver award. Excellent work, judges. Okay, can we have our next print, please? And our caption, Paper Bag Man discovered in Botanical Gardens. Thank you, judges. If I could have your scores, please. Nathan? Okay. We have a 76, a bronze award. And you have a question, yep. Are we happy to accept our 76? We do. All right. So, Bill, I'm going to allow you to comment on the print and to ask a question as well. I'm not sure who's going to answer it, though, but go for it.
It's sort of it's an open question, but my comment on the print is congratulations to the photographer having discovered a new species, Paper Bag Man, discovered in the Botanic Gardens. There's this swirling movement in the background in the plants and under his feet, and I don't understand it. If this is a documentary picture, it should be... untampered with, and I'm not clear how that movement, swirling movement, happened in the background. I just thought I'd throw that in there. Don't know.
Again, I don't think we can answer it, and I think it's probably going to sit with you for the next 3 or 4 years, Bill, probably. Yeah. Questions? Okay. Thank you, team. And can we have our next print, please? And our caption, history repeats. Okay, this printer scored 65, and our judging is, our scoring is very close together here. So I'm going to go to you, Nathan, for a comment for our photographer.
Yeah, look, it's a professional documentary image. There would have been 1,000 frames just like that. I guess the author could try to find and isolate one expression, maybe even crop in on this particular one. The highlights are blown. You know, they're in a good place. The overall tone is good, but just sits in professional practice for me.
Thanks, Nathan. Good feedback.
It would have been better to have a New Zealander commenting.
At the end of the day, I went for Nathan. Okay. Thank you, team. Can we have our next print, please? And we don't have a caption for this image? Thank you, judges. Okay. This printer scored 74, a bronze award. But we have a challenge from Tony Carter, who is on 92, and I'm going to give him 3 more seconds and he's back to his microphone. Let's hear from you, Tony.
Yeah, it's just one of those passerby moments, but I love, the body language of these people, and the way the guy's framed with his singlet, with the white rim around the singlet against the perfect composition of the picture behind. So he's sitting into there nicely, and then compositionally is beautiful, so simple, and just the quirk of the gestures and the expressions on the people's faces. One engaging with the camera, one looking out the side of his eyes at the other person. So a very quiet moment that could have gone past the photographer, just like it's gone past you guys a little bit now. So sorry, maybe I need a drink. But I think it's just perfectly executed, great legs, and I struggle to sort of find too much to complain about. But thank you.
Thank you, Tony. I'm now going to come to you, Bill. You're at the other end of the scale on 65, a long way from 92.
One of us is in big trouble. Look, the secret to really effective street photography is timing, which this has, wit, which it doesn't really have, and compositional skill, which it kind of has. But I must say that sign in the background really bothers me. I'd really prefer to see the 3 of these stick figures pictured against a blank wall. I think it's serendipity that he's captured in the frame, and it doesn't really work for me. The figure on the left is actually looking at the camera, and that kind of kills it for me. That's a 20-pointer right there. It's gone. I need them to be connecting with each other or with nothing, but not with the camera.
Nathan, you're on the average at 75.
Yep, this is an epic image, such a great capture, and I'm only on 75 because, I'd love to talk it up as well. It's just I'm lost on the characters looking at us, for one. It acknowledges the photographer, which drops a bit, and the focus is not... It's quite soft on the character who leads our attention. Even our beautiful character in the top hat, his attention, that's a human connection as well, but he's drawing our attention to the same character who's just soft. So it's only technical. This capture is incredible. And so my question again is, how many points do we take off? I wanted to give it at least 1 point. It's in the bronze because this is really strong. But do we push it into silver? Do we push it into gold when there's a softness? I'm listening.
Thank you, Nathan. Okay, so Sarah, would you like to comment here? You are on 82.
Yeah, I am on 82, and it's for all of those reasons that Tony's mentioned, but I couldn't quite bring it up into the higher silver category for the reasons that Nathan's mentioned. But I think the composition is awesome. I love that poster around the head because it actually draws our eye to the most... He is quite dominant in that frame, and then you've got the middle figure. The gesture in that man is actually quite great because he mirrors the guy on the right hand side, and then the three triangles of their legs help us to draw us into and to each of those characters, and help us to get a visual response from them. So a little bit of softness, but I wanted to reward the photographer and give them a silver.
Thank you, Sarah. And in closing, Tony?
Yeah, the focus is a little bit of a problem, but yeah, I enjoy it for that moment that the photographer's seen. So, if we could come up into low silver, I'd be happy. Thank you.
Okay, let's rescore.
My bad.
Okay, we went up a few points. We're now at 77. We're still a bronze award, but there you go. Thank you, team. Could I have a blank screen, please? Need to do another judge change. Thank you, Sarah. Can I have you up, Jackie, please? Pardon? Okay. Yep. Do you want to swap out? Do you want to swap out now? Do it now. I'll take you off now. Yep. And Bill, I'll get you to step off, and I'm going to bring Catherine back up into this seat. Thank you. Once you log in, we'll be good to go. Fantastic. Can we have our next print, please? Could we have our next print, please, print handlers? Thank you. There is no caption with this image. Thanks, judges. Let's have some scores. Okay, we have a bronze award with a 75. But we have a challenge from Selena Rollerson, who's on 82.
Yeah, I've gone into the silver range with this one. Purely because it makes me feel something. My heart rate's actually racing, which I think reflects. And when you feel something with an image, you go for it, and that's what I've just done. So this is actually making me feel quite anxious and nervous and stressed, and and which is reflected in the image and the movement in it and the urgency and the fact that there's holes in the roof that indicate that to me suggests something could fall on these people at any time. I think I'm rewarding it for the fact that the author has literally given us something given us something that makes me feel something and makes me, makes me look into it more and want to know what the hell's going on.
Thank you, Selena. And I'm going to go to you, Jackie, on 67.
Yeah, I'm in this scoring range because I think it was a moment missed. I think the focus being on static things through the door instead of on the action of the figure, the focusing, it's. I don't think it's pulled off, and the distraction of the flame or the movement of that flame in the right-hand corner is pulling my eye away too. I don't think all those elements have come together into a cohesive communication.
Thanks, Jackie. And Nathan on the average at 75.
Yeah, I'm more with Jackie than you, Selena, on this one. I gave it a 75 for the same feels. We're there with the photographer in this shot, but I'm drawn to the sharpest piece, which is just that static image. And if that wasn't there and this whole image had a consistent action blur, then that would add an emotive element. But as it stands, I stop in that space and I lose some of the power. So I am awarding it at a 75, but I'm not sure if I can go higher.
Thanks, Nathan. And Selena?
The fact that that bit is sharp is actually, to me, what gives the rest... Because that's the only thing that's sharp. It's the one thing in this whole picture that's static. Everything else is moving. Everything else is glowing. It's changing. And if the firefighter was sharp, you wouldn't get that sense of movement, that sense of urgency that they're quickly rushing to take care of this blaze. The flare in the front literally is like coming at you, to try and... It's almost... So it adds to that sense of movement. And I think it's an amazing shot, and it really gives you that sense of urgency and panic, which is what I'm rewarding it for with the silver.
Okay. Thank you, judges. You can all rescore. And the print has gone up 1 point to 76. Still a bronze award, of course. Can we have our next print, please? And our caption, man and his dog. Man and his dog. Okay, scores going in. And we have a 70, a bronze award. Are we happy with that? Yeah. Okay. We probably do. Yeah. What I'm going to ask you to do is to re-enter your exact same score. Thank you, and I'm going to ask for a comment from you, Catherine, if that's okay, on that print.
Gorgeous colour palette, nice little moment. No, I don't really have any constructive criticism. Okay. It's a beautiful print.
That's fine. Sorry, I put you on the spot. Yep. Thank you, judges. Can we have our next print, please? Our caption, family. Okay, this printer's scored a 77, a bronze award. But we have a challenge from Catherine, who's on 83. All good. You have some support. You have Tony on 82. So let's hear from you, Catherine, 83.
When this image came up in the run-through, I really got quite a lump in my throat, and it just had that really strong initial impact for me. I feel this is very powerful, both in all those hands coming in at the front there, you know, they're just this blanket of hands, but also coming in at the top there, containing it. This man is very much surrounded by love, but also just in his expression, the nobility in that face and the up-tilted chin, and then we've got that lump going on in the neck. I feel that it's printed very darkly, the highlights are quite dark, and then initially I wasn't sure about that, and then I thought, well, there's a real gentleness here in that treatment, which I feel suits the moment. So, yeah, giving it a silver.
Thanks, Catherine. Jackie on 68.
Yeah, I think you said why I was on 68. The treatment of the print quality, the head being so close to the edge of the frame. I think it was missed in its cropping, and a square would be better because those dark areas on the left are ominous. And the grittiness of all the hands, instead of being sensitive and soft tones, but I'm a bit tough on it. So,
okay, I'm going to go to you now, Tony, if that's okay. On 82.
Yes, I agree with the darkness of the background. You know, that's why it's not high for me, but with all of those hands, you know, you can see the different lives of the people that are looking after this man. You know, you can see what his family are like. You don't need to see their faces to know what sort of people they are. Yeah, the emotional response from this is great, and I don't mind, you know, his head being at the top of the frame, because I mean, you know, he looks like he's leaving this planet soon. So it sort of fits comfortably for me, and I think it's an easy silver.
Okay, back to you now, Catherine. I think. Yep.
Yeah, just quickly, you talked about grittiness and the ominousness. This is a gritty situation. This is not a soft situation. Somebody's dying here, and I feel that the treatment reflects that beautifully. Yeah, silver.
Thank you, judges. You may all rescore. Okay. Okay, so we have a 79. It's a bronze award, but we now have to do a little bit of fun and games, as you know. I have to just fill for a minute while we do a reset. This is basically a review on the spot, as we know, because it's landed at 79. Am I correct?
So once we get our computer band back, just to reboot our computer for this, we will be making a decision whether we feel it's in bronze, which is still the 79, or you want to go to silver, which will be 80. So it's your decision to make. Yes or no, it's not a rescore. Yes or no?
That's a rescore.
Yeah, so just to reiterate, it's a rescore. It's 79 or 80. Just while we do a reset of the system. Just in case you were wondering what you were judging, it's the documentary category, in case anyone's, you know, sort of forgotten about that. I'm pretty sure we're all on track with that. We're sponsored by Leica. Just going to get a blank screen for a moment while we do a little reset here. Yeah. Are we good? Okay. Thank you, folks, for bearing with me. We need to rescore 79 or 80. Thank you. Thank you, judges. We have an 80, a silver award. Thank you for your patience. Can we have our next print, please? And our caption, Dad awaits. Thanks, judges. Let's have some scores. Okay, we have an 80, a silver award. And I'm going to go to you, Catherine, again, just for a comment for our photographer.
I'd just say congratulations. We've seen these images before where they're split by a doorway, but I love the masculinity on the right and the softness on the left. I gave this an 83. Dad is such an awesome character too. Yeah, great shot.
Thank you, Catherine. Can we have our next print, please? Our caption, Tolaga Bay Beach Race. This print scores 68. Very consistent judging. Anyone catch my eye? And let's have a comment. I think Jackie's first. There we go. A comment for our photographer. Thank you, Jackie.
Yeah, I used to photograph horse races once. And I guess what we were looking for here is some other decisive moment, maybe somebody falling off or something funny happening, but, good technique and professional practice.
Thanks, Jackie. Can we have our next print, please? And our caption, Sheep Farmer. Okay, this print scores 65. I'm going to go to you, Tony Carter, for a comment. You're on 66.
It's just a wee bit muddy. I love the dog and what it is, the way it's snuggling in. But yeah, just work on that print quality.
Thank you, Tony. Can we have our next print, please? Bill, could you just step in for this one for me? No. I'm just going to read the caption for you too. Half born and yet to take the first breath. Okay, this print has scored 74, a bronze award. Are we happy to accept the 74? We are? Yep. Okay. I'm going to go to you, Bill, for a comment. You were on 75.
Thank you. I actually would like to have seen this printed in black and white. I feel the colour is a bit... It gets in the way of the communication of the face for me. I think this would have been a really interesting image printed in black and white. It possibly would have scored higher.
Thank you, Bill. And... just bear with me. Yeah, okay. Can we have the next print, please? Who was there? Yeah. No, that's okay. I didn't need it. And our caption? 3 stands. Okay, this print has scored 67, and again our judging is fairly close together there, so I'm just going to ask for a comment from you, Selena, on 68.
Yeah, great moment seen. Very, very good professional practice. It's just needed something a little bit more or something a little bit more exciting to tell a bit more of the story, I think. Yeah.
Thank you, Selena. And can we have our next print, please? And our caption? An Italian tradition, talking with hands. Okay, this print has scored 69. And we have a challenge from Nathan Madigan, who's on 78.
Yeah, look, this deserves a point. This deserves to be an award image. We're not talking gold or silver, we're just talking a documentary photo that really rings with humanity and truth. I felt the love from back here. The conversation between the two of these gentlemen is beautiful, and as I came in closer, I could see the love reflected in the eyes of this old man. I feel like there's a strength in this, in the feels of this image to take it over the line. I think it deserves a point. Without even going into the framing of the gentleman in the background, which places us outside of Italy. We've got potentially an Australian in the background, which speaks of a whole different set of stories, which I will go into, but let's hear some discussion.
Okay, thank you, Nathan. Selena, you're at the other end of the scale on 60.
Yeah, the picture in the back that kills it for me, unfortunately. I can't understand what the connection is. It's very close to the man on the left. I can't see the man on the left's face, and there's the extra space on the right. I can see what you're saying, and I can see the love and the expression in the man's face in the middle, but it's just, I don't, yeah. I've put it in professional practice, but I can't even take it into the bronze. I'm sorry, okay. Nathan.
Thank you. So Catherine on 68, right on the average.
Yeah, I think there was so much potential here. I love that man's face, and I love those hands and the light on them. but everything that Selena said, it just falls away from me on the left-hand side. It just gets so cluttered. And even if that man's face had just been a little more separated from the mirror frame, there was a lot of potential here. But no, I feel that I've given it high professional standard, 68.
Jackie, do you have something to add to that on 75? Are you happy? Okay, back to you now, Nathan.
Yep. Well, the question as a team is this simply professional practice, or is there an added element of documentary that gives us humanity and lends a feeling as a viewer who doesn't know these characters at all? Do we feel something more? And if we do feel anything, then I feel like it should get in the bronze category. So I'm staying on 78.
Thanks, Nathan. Okay, can we all rescore? Okay, we have a 69. No, we don't. No, we don't. We accept our 69. Thank you, judges. And can we have our next print, please? And our caption, Flower Girl and Page Boy under the table. Okay, we have a 71, a bronze award, but we have a challenge from Selena, who's on 82. Selena.
When I saw this in the run-through, I was like, oh, look forward to seeing this one. The humour in this cracks me up. It's not just the kids. There's a woman on the right, on the top, but next to the wine bottle, and I bet you that's the mother of these children going, where are these kids? What are they doing? They're under the table. And I think that sort of adds to it because nobody else cares. No one else is doing it. And yet the kids are engaging with the camera, and this woman is up there thinking, what on earth is going on? I'll be honest, I don't like the crop of the man on the right-hand side. That's why, and I don't like the crop of the class on the left. But, that's why I'm not in gold. But there's so much humour and cuteness in this, and it's really well framed. I like the printing of it. I think it's been well printed. And I'm just rewarding the author for seeing something really adorable and not just adorable, but a great little story and presenting it to us in this way.
Yep. Thank you. So Jackie on 67.
I found the interaction. I can feel the photographer interacting here, and then the true genre of documentary photography that sort of pushed me away a little bit. And it seems to be overlit, light everywhere, I'm feeling interaction of the photographer making those laugh somehow, and the other story just being part of that. I'm listening though, but I'm still on 67, which is good professional practice, good storytelling. Well done.
Okay. So Tony, on 72, spot on the average?
Yes, I think it's well, thought out by the photographer to maybe take control of this. Whether what Jackie's saying is true, we can take that into consideration as well and not score it higher. But yeah, so bronze was where it's sat. I'm quite happy with the composition, and your eye runs around it quite nicely looking at the expressions. But the kids are the main feature.
Thanks, Tony. Selena?
Yeah, I guess we don't know whether there's someone standing beside the photographer interacting with these kids, or that they were, and the photographer's jumped in and gone, oh my God, this is amazing, and just totally taken that capture. We can't assume that they are interacting, and I think that given it's in documentary category and it's been verified and everything like that, we can't make that assumption. So we can only assume that it is true documentary and judge it based on that. I think the story, yes, is the kids, But there's also that little story up in the top hand corner, you know, with that mum looking down at these children and the fact that nobody else is paying attention to the fact that they're underneath it, and may very well pull the whole tablecloth off the table and land on top of them. So, that's what I'm rewarding it for, is the extra thought and story that's in this image.
Okay. Everybody rescore. The current score is 71. And we have a 73, a bronze award. Okay, can we have our next print, please? And our caption, calming nerves with a pre-ceremony smoke. Okay, this print has scored 66. Again, I could throw a blanket over the whole lot of you here and collect the same score. So I'm probably going to go to you, Nathan, on 65 for a comment.
Yeah, sure. This is professional practice for a wedding photographer. It's a good perspective and something that arguably the client might not even want to see. So I'm not quite sure what to say about it. It's just... It's a pleasing professional practice shot, I guess.
Thank you, Nathan. And can we have our next print, please? And our caption, gentrification. And this print has scored 66. And I think we'll accept that score. I'm going to go to you, Tony Carter, for a comment.
I find this image very central, and the person engaging with the camera, which sort of is not really what this section's all about.
Thanks, Tony. Could we have our next print, please? Our caption, roadside animal market, Ethiopia. Okay, this print has scored 73, a bronze award. $73. And what do we have? You're going to challenge, Catherine? Thank you. Catherine's going to challenge.
You can't have a print sitting on a 73 when you're on a gold and not challenge. So
that's good.
Yep. So no, I've given this a 92, and I'm not alone up here. Well, I've got an 88 backing me up. I feel like this photographer has taken a hugely chaotic scene and produced a work of art. I love the colour palette. I love the splashes of colour throughout this image that just take you round and around and around, all the different gestures and actions of the people. There's that little goat lying down at the front that's looking at the camera. Pretty much nobody else seems to have noticed the photographer. All the plastic bottles washed up there. there's just so much story going on here. I shouldn't prejudge. I'm wondering if you're going to talk about the treatment. For me, that raising of the shadows and the blacks is actually really working to give it a cohesion in the overall effect, which I really enjoy. So, yeah.
Thank you, Catherine. Okay, Jackie, 63.
63, yeah, I just saw this as a photograph of an everyday scene without a real focal point. That I was looking for some sort of action, some why am I looking at? You know, I've seen many in travel, many places sort of like this. The photographer being detached across the other side, but still not even, for me, embracing the puddles and trying to reinforce where I'm supposed to look. The print quality for me is muddy. There's a storm in the background. It hasn't been embraced. I know you can... where's the celebration of light and story? And I just couldn't get it.
Thank you, Jackie. So, Tony, closest to the average on 68. I'm going to go to you now.
Just let down by print quality. I mean, we can look at the digital projection and see beautiful colours and everything like that, but it hasn't come across in the print, and I think that's really let it down. Otherwise, yes, there's no real resting place for your eye, and not a real, there's nothing in that chaos that sort of drags me in there. It's just sort of, just an everyday moment.
Thanks, Tony. So, Nathan, you're on 88.
Yeah, it wouldn't actually be hard to get me to gold. I can't fault this image. I think that everything is deliberate, and in a documentary category, this would rival an illustrative category where everything was deliberate. This is beautiful. I think the print quality is subtle and it reflects the stormy skies. The artist has realised it's overcast and he can actually get this amazing light and this pastel kind of palette. It's amazing. But I'm feeling a lot of story here. I can see my eye bounces through every story and every colour. We can go around. It's a carnival feel. It is it's an annual. It's a market stall, and yet we can see the poverty levels. We can see how humanity challenges their poverty with their own fashion sense and their bright colours and their optimism. There is soul even in these animals, and like Catherine said, that goat sitting down watching us is actually the focal point, is just the brightest point in there. Helps our eye to lead all the way around, rest back on that every time.
Thank you, Nathan.
There's so much going on in here, it's beautiful.
Yep. And Catherine?
Thank you, Nathan. Well said. The point of this, the whole category is documentary. This is documenting chaos, but it's done in a very well-controlled way. As Nathan said, you've got the carnival feel, subtlety, I believe, in the print, which brings out so much detail. Everything is just really pin sharp. I agree. I don't need... If you want a focal point, for me it is the goat, but it's the travelling around the image that is the strength for me. This is documenting chaos in a beautiful, cohesive way.
Okay. Judges, let's rescore. The current score is 73. And the score has gone up to 78, a bronze award. Thank you, judges, for your feedback. Okay, could I quickly have a blank screen? Thank you, print handlers. I'm going to do a judge change. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Selena. Could I bring on Steve and Sarah? Is Sarah there? Here she comes. Oh. Welcome, Sarah. I knew you were there. I'll just get you both to log in. Thank you. Okay, we're all good to go. Happy. Thank you. Can we have our next print, please? And our caption, reflecting on an endangered species. Okay, we have a bronze award at 76. And again, I could throw a blanket over you again, you lot. And I'm going to ask Steve Scalone to comment on this print.
What blanket?
You missed the blanket reference, didn't you? Because your scores are all together, see? Yes. Okay. Here you go.
I think this is a beautiful play on reflections and an excellent example of good visual communication. However, the reason I didn't go any further was perhaps it needed to be a closer crop and remove some of the distractions, especially over to the right. But well done.
Thank you, Steve. And can we have our next print, please? And our caption, Good Sportsman. Okay, this printer scored 67. Once again, close judging. I'm going to go to you, Jackie Rankin, for a comment for our photographer.
Yeah, maybe to get it to the next level, a little bit more of that story of that young fellow seems to be crying almost, and where's the ball and why is he that way?
Thank you, Jackie. And could we have our next print, please? And our caption, Loading Fattened Lambs onto a Truck. Okay, this printer scored 66. I'm going to go to you, Nathan, on this one for a comment. Thank you.
Yeah, I almost felt generous at 68. It's a professional practice, but straighten up the lines, consider the brightest points, like the washed-out lamb at the front. Beautifully complex, but it just lost a bit on the final technicals.
Thank you, Nathan. Could we have our next print, please? Our caption, Cattleman at Pukatoro Station Sale. Okay, this printer's scored 64. And I'm going to ask Sarah to comment on this one, if you could, for us, Sarah.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy this composition. Lovely foreground, middle ground and background. I would have just liked to have seen a better control of the highlights and, yeah, that could have elevated it some.
Thanks, Sarah. And could we have our next print, please? And our caption, Down the Line. Okay, this print has scored 68. Are we happy with that score of 68? 3, 2, 1. We are happy with 68. So I'm going to go to you, Catherine, for a comment for our photographer. Catherine, you are on 68.
Okay, I do find that tip of the wave going through his head quite distracting, but also the foreground, and I just feel that if it had been sort of closer in, or if he'd be coming towards the photographer, I would have felt the dynamic situation and the movement and just excitement a bit more.
Thank you, Catherine. Could I have a blank screen, please? Thank you, print handlers. I'm going to do another judge change. Thank you, Nathan, if you could step off for me, and Bill, if you could join the panel. And log on for me. Okay, we're good to go. And can we have our next print, please? No caption for this image, by the way. Okay, our scores are coming in, and we have a 62 for this print. Looking across our panel, I think, are we happy with that score of 62? We are? Yep. Okay. Steve, would you like to comment on this?
Yeah, I understand where the photographer, or what the photographer saw. I just feel that there is too many distractions for that actual narrative to be told.
Thanks, Steve. And could we have our next print, please? Our caption, love at first sight. Okay. This print has scored 66. And are we happy with that score, judges? We are? Yep. Okay. I'm going to go to you, Catherine, for a comment, if you could. You're on 68. Could you give us a small bit of feedback for our photographer?
I like the emotion in this image, but I feel that this is something I've seen a lot, you know, the groom framed between the people, and I feel that it's a little bit of a muddy print that has let it down for me. So.
Thanks, Catherine. Can we have our next print, please? Our caption is twice rare. Selena, if you could step in here for me. Thank you. Thank you, judges. If I could have some scores. Okay, this printer scored 71, a bronze award. Well done. And a comment from, well, we have all manner here. I'm going to go with you, Bill, for now. Yep.
I just want to send a very strong message to the photographer here. That top shot is fantastic. The bottom shot is not. Why put two shots and degrade the score when you could put in one shot and probably get a silver?
Okay. Thank you, Bill. And can we have our next print, please? And thank you, Selena, for stepping in there. Wonderful. Our caption, whakapaipai. I'm being schooled here in pronunciation too, by the way. Thank you to my team. Okay, this printer scored 64. And I think all of our judges are fairly close to that score, so I'm going to go to you, Steve, this time for a comment for our photographer. You're on 65.
Yeah, I feel the photographer is perhaps missing the story or a narrative that could be actually happening, whereas I feel that the main focus is the vacuum cleaner, and I'm not too sure why.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, could we have our next print, please? Could we have our next print, please, print handlers? Lovely, thank you. So, judges, I'll just get you to sit down again for me. I just have a little glitch here. Can I have a blank screen, please, print handlers? Thank you. Sorry. Same little issue I had last time with a different image. Okay, judges, could I have you back up to view the print? Thank you for your patience. Our caption, batch bath.
Caption is?
Batch bath.
Batch bath. Yep.
Oh, it is there.
Okay, this printer scored 66. I'm going to go to you, Jackie Rankin, on 68 for a comment.
Yeah, I'm thinking that perhaps a crop. I know there's a window there, but I don't need to see it, and a little bit more separation of the head to the background spatulas.
Thanks, Jackie. Could we have our next print, please? Our caption, fighter. Okay, scores in, judges. Okay, this print has scored 73, a bronze award. Are we happy with that? Happy with that score? We are. Yep. Okay. I'm going to call on you, Bill Buckman, to comment on this print for me at 77.
I was a little conflicted about this one. It's a beautiful print. It's very gritty. It matches the subject matter. The question that was in my mind was, I wonder if there were any other photographs in this particular sequence where I'm not getting a great sense of excitement or emotional engagement with the guy's face because there's not much going on. The fact that he spit out his mouthguard is really interesting to me, and I would like to have seen this either as a sequence or maybe re-examined the moment somehow.
Okay. Thanks, Bill. Could we have our next print, please? Our caption, Wolfgang's Beach House Bath. Thank you, Steve. Okay, this print has scored 66. And Steve's going to challenge that. Steve, you are on 78. Away you go.
Yeah, look, I feel that this image definitely does deserve an award, purely because it made me smile instantly. And it wasn't because of the little expression. It was all the elements that were placed beautifully, or at least sort of captured beautifully within the scene. That large tap that's towering over this baby's head, the triangular towel, the actual bottle on the left-hand side, and even just those little elements that do frame the whole scene beautifully. Of course, then it is beautifully lit in terms of the capture and things like that, so I do feel that the photographer needs to be awarded.
Thank you, Steve. Bill, I'm going to go to you. You're on 58.
With the greatest of respect to the photographer, this strikes me as the kind of picture a mum would take with an iPhone. It's just a captured moment without any particular flair of professionalism about it. I just don't feel it's of a professional level at all.
Okay. Sarah, on 68.
Yes, I was conflicted with, I guess, it being a documentary image, and I see it as more of a portrait image. I think there's some beautiful qualities in there. I enjoy the environment the baby's in, and think the lighting's lovely on him. Just struggle to bring it into a bronze category. That's for me, yeah.
Okay. Steve, I'm going to go back to you now, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. I don't think there's too much more to say. I definitely do feel that it should be a bronze, so just come up a couple of points.
Okay. Everybody, let's have a rescore.
Is that me too?
And Steve, you got him up 1 point to 67.
1 point.
Well done, team. Okay. Can we have our next print, please? In our caption, an anonymous medical team deliver by caesarean. Okay, we have a silver award at 80. Well done. While we're on that, I'm going to go to you, Bill Buckman, on 82 for a comment to the photographer.
Yeah, I think this is pretty powerful. It's almost, I'm struggling for an art history reference here, but it's almost like a painting, the way it's lit. This somber but rich background with this explosion of humanity at the centre of it. And what I like most about it is the body language of the child. There's arms and legs going everywhere. It's all this. It's almost a religious kind of a feeling with this little bit of ball of energy in the middle of it.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, could we have our next print, please? So, judges, could I ask you to sit down again for me? I've got that same little issue, and I'll get you back up on the... Selena, I'll get you to have a look at this print for me as well. Thank you. Okay, thank you, team. If you could come up and view that print for me. In our caption, my whole world has changed. Okay, our print has scored 66, ladies and gentlemen. How are we feeling about that? Okay, Selina's going to challenge. Selina is on 78.
Yeah, I just wanted to challenge this one because I feel that it's more than just professional practice. This is a cute little moment in a environment like this, a documentary birth environment like this, that is fleeting, and it's very fleeting. When the kids first in the siblings first come in and meet their new baby, brother or sister, they do a whole range of emotions, whether it's surprise, excitement. Or in a case like this one, extreme apprehension over what has just transpired, where the baby's come from, what it's going to mean for this little girl. And the mum and the baby are out of focus, and that I actually quite like, because this is a portrait of a little girl's response to her whole entire world changing, which is exactly what that caption has just said. And it's beautifully sharp and well printed, and there's detail in all in the darks, not so much in some of those lights, but it's just this makes me wonder what this little girl's thinking in this moment.
Thank you, Selina. I'm going to go to you, Bill. You're at 60.
The mum's expression is really pulling me out of this story here. There's not much going on with her. She's not relating to the child. I know the message in the picture is the awareness of the young girl that she's now got competition in the family. But I just find the eye lines are conflicting. I don't actually find the out of focus foreground. I find that distracting as well. So I think there's lots of elements here that haven't really been brought together properly in a professional way.
Okay. So Sarah, on 65.
Yeah, I too struggled with that, Bill, and I kind of was trying to crop it in my mind to have, maybe without the mum's expression, but then, it bothered me with the line down through in between the two new siblings. I just feel like maybe a slightly different angle or a slightly different moment in time, and this could have been stronger.
Thank you, Sarah. I'll come back to you now, Selina.
This mum's just been through labour. She's exhausted. She's absolutely buggered and emotional, and she's hormonal. I wouldn't, like the little girls, the siblings' faces, they have all range of emotions. So does the mums. So much goes on with them. And I can see that she's expressing something. I'm not exactly sure what it is. And she's now got this baby in her hands. So I don't think a greater expression or a different expression on the mum's face would actually take away from the little girl's expression. In a case like this too, you can see, you're talking about the line down between the mum and the baby and the little girl. In most cases, it would be up on the other side as well. And so to try and come around from a different perspective would actually block the camera angle and make it incredibly difficult to actually get in and actually get a little bit of a different shot. So I'm rewarding the fact that this little girl is there's a story here, and it is really about the girl, which is why I'm quite happy with it being out of focus on that right-hand side.
Thank you, Selina. If we could rescore, please, judges. Okay, and the score remains at 66. Thank you, judges. Good discussion, yeah. Could we have our next print, please?
Gold,
there
90.
You go. So, folks, that's the end of the documentary category. You don't need to score that print, Bill. No. They're so well trained, these judges. They'll score anything, you see. Thank you, everyone in the audience, for sticking with us, and